According to legend, somewhere in Texas lies buried a vast treasure of Spanish gold. At the turn of the 20th century, one man is on a mission to find it. His name is Dave Arnold.
He was obsessed with this legend. He wasn't going to let anything stop him and prevent him from seeking it.
Guided by a cryptic old map, he unearths 3 mysterious stones. Chiseled into their surfaces are web-like pictorial codes.
No one seems to know what it means.
Convinced these rocks are keys to finding the treasure, Arnold begins a 7-year quest. One that leads to a mysterious death, financial ruin, and an ancient curse.
Leave it alone. You'll have nothing but heartache from this.
This is the story of a quest to find a fabulous lost treasure and unravel the mystery of the Spider Rocks. The story begins in 1902, when Dave Arnold arrived in the small town of Haskell, Texas.
Descriptions of them have him as a large, very fat man with striking white hair. Every person in Haskell notices this new person coming into town. What's he here for? Who's he going to see? And what does this man want?
Some say Arnold was a miner, recently returned to the US from Mexico. But it soon became obvious he was in Haskell for a purpose. He was there to find treasure.
Dave Arnold is looking for anything that might have a dollar sign attached to it. He makes no excuse. He lets people know that he is looking for something.
But those who met Arnold later recalled he was guarded about precisely what this treasure was.
We know some of what he's looking for. We don't know everything he's looking for, and I'm not so sure he wants everyone to know what he's seeking.
But Dave Arnold was certain about one thing. The treasure he sought was somewhere in Texas, and it was originally Spanish. For over 130 years, Texas was part of New Spain, a colonial territory which at its height stretched from Central America to Northern California. The Spaniards left behind a rich history of myths and legends related to fabulous lost treasures. And many of these came from their centuries-long quest to find new sources of metals in the Americas.
West Texas country is full of copper. Spaniards were certainly looking for copper. They were looking for lead. Anytime you have those metals, you always have a little gold and silver mixed in with it.
But for Arnold, locating a cache of lost Spanish gold promised to be a huge challenge. In 1902, Texas was the largest state in the US and almost completely wild.
There are no roadways, there are no road maps, there are no highways, there are no automobiles. This is wilderness, and these people, it takes them, a day to travel 15 miles.
Finding lost Spanish gold would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. But Dave Arnold had a secret weapon. A tattered sheepskin map, he believed, was an old Spanish treasure map. It was covered with a variety of strange symbols and landmarks. And Arnold was very secretive about the information it contained.
No one saw the map closely. He didn't allow the map out of his possession. So if others got a glimpse of it, it was only a brief glimpse.
And he kept that map well guarded, including sleeping, with it under his pillow at nights.
Arnold believed his precious sheepskin map led to buried treasure. But he had a problem. He didn't understand many of its cryptic markings and symbols. Luckily for Arnold, there was a man in Haskell who might be able to help. His name was Caleb Terrell.
Caleb LaFawn Terrell. He's a druggist in Haskell, about 1900, and he has an interest in the flora and the fauna. He had glass showcases full of fossils and all unusual type things that were found in the area.
Evidence suggests Dr. Terrell was interested in more than natural history. He too was a treasure hunter. Like Arnold, he owned a mysterious map covered in bizarre symbols.
Dave Arnold must have looked for Dr. Terrell because he knew that he had a map that had some of the same symbols that Dave Arnold was seeking.
Dr. Terrell had already been involved in a search, at least as early as 1897. Somehow, Dave Arnold discovers that fact, and so Dave Arnold shows up in Haskell, probably to share information with Dr. Terrell of what he knows and what he has, and hoping that Dr. Terrell can share information as to some of the meaning of those symbols.
History does not record exactly what took place during Arnold and Terrell's meeting. But the two men joined forces and began an incredible quest for the lost Spanish treasure. Arnold and Terrell quickly identified a site to search first. An area 20 miles west of Haskell, on the Salt Fork of the Brazos River. The treasure hunters set up camp here in spring 1902. Arnold and Terrell recruited local ranchers to help dig the site and immediately put them to work. For weeks, they shoveled ton after ton of soil. It's probable they uncovered chunks of slag and pieces of copper. All evidence the area was once mined for metals. But they found no trace of lost Spanish treasure.
It must have been frustrating for Arnold to have spent all of this time excavating areas that he thought would be the location of the treasure, and to find that few bits of information are coming out. Very few artifacts are coming out.
The truth was, neither Arnold nor Dr. Terrell could accurately read the sheepskin map's cryptic symbols to pinpoint the lost Spanish treasure.
Dave Arnold can't proceed with anything. He's stumped as to where to go next and what to do next.
Without help, his chances of striking it rich were close to zero. Then Dave Arnold caught a lucky break. His lack of progress had been noticed.
Dave Arnold is being watched. He sees this sheep herder where there really should not be a herd of sheep.
The sheep herder was a Mexican. He and Arnold had a meeting a few weeks into the excavation.
Arnold meets the sheep herder. Sometime in the course of that first conversation, treasure is mentioned.
The sheep herder stated that he knew all about the lost Spanish gold, and that Arnold was not the only person who had worked out where it might be buried.
He tells Dave Arnold that it's not that much of a mystery in Mexico. Certain priests are aware of this site, and he seems to know far more about it than Dave Arnold does.
Reports also state the sheep herder told Arnold something else. He could read the sheepskin map.
Arnold shows the sheep herder the map, and the sheep herder is reading Arnold's map in a way that Arnold never considered, thought of, or possibly never even knew how to read.
The Mexican stated the sheepskin map didn't reveal the actual location of the treasure. It would take them to another map carved in stone. That rock would lead them to the gold. They would know the stone because it would be marked with a very specific symbol.
The Mexican sheep herder is apparently emphasizes that there's a certain hieroglyphic H that needs to be found, which is the clue to solving the mystery.
That immediately strikes Arnold's interest and excites Arnold to the point to where he thinks, I may have a real chance on finding this treasure.
The way forward seemed clear. Finding the stone inscribed with an H would bring Arnold a step closer to uncovering the lost treasure. The Mexican indicated a new area for Arnold's men to excavate. They began removing the stubborn Texas dirt. Soon, one of the men's shovels struck a rock. Arnold brushed away the dirt and carefully lifted away a small, flat stone. Underneath were 3 copper ornaments. One was shaped like a dagger. Another, a strange-looking key. The third was a square with notches cut into its sides. Arnold didn't fully understand what these objects meant. The treasure hunter now brushed away more dirt and revealed an artifact unlike anything he'd seen before. An inscribed stone, covered with Roman numerals, numbers, and curious Spanish letters.
According to the eyewitnesses, this is the most elaborately carved rock that they'd ever seen.
At the center was a series of concentric circles. And to one side was the distinctive old-fashioned letter H, just as the Mexican sheepherder had described.
Nothing like it had ever been seen by any of the men who were doing the digging. With its concentric lines and various symbols and marks on them, it must have been a sight to behold.
The stone's peculiar web-like design earned it the nickname Spider Rock. It contained no clue as to when it was made or who buried it. But Dave Arnold was convinced that this new discovery held the key to uncovering the lost Spanish treasure.
It's a highlight in his life. It's a major highlight, a major discovery to him. Obviously, he's quite excited about it. He thinks he's on the verge of finding the treasure.
But again, he hit the same problem. Neither Arnold nor Dr. Terrell had any idea how to read the stone's curious hieroglyphics. So they turned again to the Mexican. The sheepherder studied the Spider Rock's mysterious markings. He made a series of strange predictions. Arnold's team would find a stone. Underneath would be human remains. Nearby, they'd discover a huge animal bone and a variety of man-made artifacts.
It seems that Arnold becomes quite excited about looking for them. They may not have gotten to the treasure yet, but Arnold seems to be encouraged.
Convinced these clues were somehow connected to finding Spanish gold, Arnold immediately started digging. Again, one of his men's shovels struck rock. Underneath was a horrifying sight.
They find the cadavers with a great stench. And of course, I'm sure they are mystified as to what this means.
Reports state the Mexican claimed the bodies were Native American slaves whose spirits guarded a fabulous treasure. But that was not all the men found. 19 paces away, they uncovered a giant prehistoric animal bone. And nearby, what appeared to be a pair of silver epaulets, possibly from a Spanish officer's uniform. Everything was just as the Mexican had predicted to Arnold.
It's verification of the truth of the map, because if these things that the Mexican sheepherder told him about on the map are true, then it only stands to reason that the gold is still there as well.
Arnold pumped the Mexican for more information. Where was the treasure? The sheepherder again studied the Spider Rock's cryptic markings and identified one that indicated a small hill. Here, he said, Arnold could possibly find treasure.
Arnold becomes very excited as anyone has ever seen him at that time, and he decides now or never we are going to go find this treasure.
Arnold's team redoubled their efforts and began leveling the hill, cutting through layer after layer of Texas soil.
By the time he's through, he has almost leveled the area known as Spider Rock Hill.
But not everyone was happy with Arnold's methods. It's reported the Mexican sheep herder and Dave Arnold's relationship started to deteriorate.
We're told that the sheep herder was upset when they scraped all that off into the canyon, but he possibly realized to solve this mystery, you need to do it more in an archaeological fashion, piece by piece.
The atmosphere at the dig site changed from naive optimism to deep mistrust. It said Arnold and his team grew suspicious of the Mexican.
Dave Arnold and the group of treasure hunters don't trust what the Mexican's telling them. They think that he's making them dig in places that they shouldn't be digging, drawing them away from the treasure.
Some of the men believed the Mexican wanted the treasure for himself. But before they could confront him with their suspicions, he disappeared.
Where did he go? Why did he leave? Nobody knows for certain other than the fact that Arnold seems very satisfied that he left and does not seem to miss him that much.
The next day, one of Arnold's men made a discovery.
They look over the excavation, and beyond where they had stopped the evening or so before, then they find the impression of a pot in the excavation.
It appeared some pots had been removed recently. Could they have contained the gold they'd spent so long looking for?
Arnold and his team must be thinking that he has removed something of extreme value, and they feel like something wonderful has been found and very valuable. They are probably interested in retrieving that material.
It's now the story took a darker turn. Shortly after the Mexican's disappearance, Arnold's men stumbled upon a body.
The party discover a grisly thing across the river, not too far from the excavation. And it is apparently a decomposed body near some heavy copper pots. And they assume that this is the Mexican sheep herder.
According to reports, the shape of the copper pots matched the impressions found earlier at the excavation site. Both were empty. Arnold's crew began to speculate.
Where did the contents of the pot go? Who took them? And doubt begins to build in their mind. Perhaps Arnold had a hand in this. We don't know. We can't prove it. But perhaps.
No one has been able to solve the mystery of the body by the riverbank. But one thing is clear. Arnold still believed the bulk of the treasure was intact. But with the sheep herder gone, he couldn't decipher any more clues from the Spider Rock. With no new leads, the excavation wound down.
The farmers and the ranchers have neglected their stock, neglected their crops, and they begin to drift away one by one. And it seems that at this point, Arnold himself has come to a dead end.
The treasure hunter gathered up the mysterious spider rock, along with the puzzling metal artifacts, and then disappeared. But Dave Arnold was not done looking for the fabled Spanish gold. In 1905, he reappeared, 70 miles southeast of the Brazos River site, near the tiny settlement of Clyde, and at a ranch run by John and Lucretia Sembritsky.
The Sembrinskys were farmers in Callahan County who originally are German settlers to the U.S. Being farmers, the Sembrinskys probably grew cotton or wheat or vegetables. They probably had chickens and pigs. They're just humble, poor, hard-working American farmers.
The Sembritskys welcomed Arnold into their home. Eyewitnesses recalled that at dinner, he struck up a lively discussion.
During this conversation, Arnold skillfully guides the subject around to strange things. Just how he did this, we don't know for certain, but he appears to have been a master at directing conversation the way he wanted it to go.
The Sembritskys were unaware that Arnold was hunting for information. He wanted the location of specific clues marked on his sheepskin map. 2 entwined trees and a pile of rocks. He suspected both were on the Sembritskys' farm and that they held the key to uncovering the lost Spanish treasure.
And he begins to ask questions. Did you ever see anything strange around here? Have you seen any trees twisted together?
And Mrs. Sembritsky says, yes, I have seen them in an 80-acre southern part of the ranch. And Dave Arnold gets real excited, and then they get excited.
A short time after Lucretia Sembritsky's disclosure, Dave Arnold found the entwined trees and the pile of rocks. Reports say that he immediately started digging. Late in the afternoon, he made another discovery: an unidentified object just inches beneath the soil.
And he ran as fast as his legs would take him to the Sembritsky house and told him that he had found what he was looking for and please come and help him.
With John Sembritsky's help, Arnold freed the object. It was another spider rock. Carved into one side were puzzling diagonal channels framed by square partitions. Scattered about were what appeared to be numbers, letters, and cryptic symbols. On the other side were 4 concentric circles. The rock was strikingly similar to the one Arnold had found years earlier near the Brazos River site.
What a coincidence. Or is it a coincidence? Could they be tied in? I imagine that the thoughts, the questions racing through Arnold's mind at this time are just staggering.
Later that day, Arnold told the Sembritskys his theory about the rock's purpose.
And the family are looking around in great anticipation. when Arnold starts revealing what he's come there to find and what this stone is telling him that will be found.
It's only now that Arnold finally revealed what he'd been seeking for the past 4 years. The stone was a map to a lost underground city stacked with gold bars.
He is seeking $60 million in gold bullion, Spanish bullion. They had a hidden city, a buried city there, the Spaniards did, and this is where they left the treasure when they had to leave the country in a hurry because of the Native Americans that were attacking them.
$60 million of gold in 1905 would today be worth almost $1.5 billion. Arnold claimed the underground city could only be accessed through a secret tunnel. Find its entrance, and they would find the treasure. The Sembritsky's were amazed and eagerly agreed to allow Arnold to excavate their property.
He was convincing enough, or he showed John Sembritsky something that was convincing enough to make him quit his farming duties and dig for treasure.
If somebody's telling a fantastic story and there's a possibility of a great amount of treasure or gold to be found, you're going to put all your effort into helping this man.
But Arnold didn't tell the Sembritsky's the full story. He didn't say he dug for treasure years earlier and failed to find the gold. He didn't tell them of his discovery of the first Spider Rock, nor of the Mexican sheepherder's mysterious death.
Arnold is apparently a master at manipulation. He recognizes the desperate need that the Sembritskys have just simply to survive. And he plays upon this. And the Sembritskys fall right into his trap.
The Sembritsky farm dig began in mid-1905. Very soon, Arnold uncovered mysterious artifacts. Strange copper objects, cut into the shapes of daggers and crowns. The similarity to those found at the Brazos riverside was obvious. Whether Arnold knew what they signified is not known. But to him, they were evidence he was closing in on the underground city. And soon, he made a startling discovery. Just beneath the Texas soil, he found brickwork.
Dave Arnold believed that it was the archway, the doorway into the secret tunnel that would lead him to the special treasure room where all the bullion would be found.
Arnold felt sure he was close to striking it rich. He approached his old associate, Caleb Terrell, to finance a full-scale excavation. The pharmacist injected his own funds into the project. Arnold hired local muscle to shift the tons of soil covering the underground treasure vault. And they began stripping the Sembritsky's farm.
He made this 100-square-foot area, kind of like a prairie dog town, just digging randomly wherever he might think he could get into something.
The digging continued at breakneck speed. Even when water started pouring into the excavations.
The only problem is you dig down 29 feet, and the water table at Clyde is about 29 feet. So water fills in the tunnel, and they didn't have scuba diving equipment at that particular time.
But Arnold was not giving up. He ordered holes dug all over the site in a desperate bid to find the underground city.
And at this moment, Dave Arnold is crapshooting. He can't find the way into the chamber that he's seeking.
By autumn 1905, the Sembritsky's farm resembled a battlefield, peppered with deep holes and flooded shafts.
There are holes, excavations, trenches, piles and piles of dirt everywhere made by hand, shovel, pick, and greed.
But the underground city and the Spanish treasure were nowhere to be found. Dave Arnold was not one for quitting. He now sought help from an unlikely source. The American enlisted a Mexican seer to find the treasure.
I don't think it was at all unusual for Dave Arnold to bring in a clairvoyant. The man was groping for any help he could find.
And this was an age when people did believe in the supernatural.
At that particular time, it is viewed as a gift, and these people have a power to find things that are lost.
The seer communed with a mysterious rock. What he saw horrified him.
He warned Arnold that anyone who sought this treasure would suffer dire consequences, that there was a terrible curse placed upon this treasure.
Leave it alone. You'll have nothing but heartache from this. And that wasn't what Dave Arnold wanted to hear.
To a man like Arnold, the seer's talk of curses and disaster probably sounded ridiculous. But it's then things started to go very wrong. First, John Sembritsky fell out with Arnold.
Dave Arnold turns to the wife, and she begins to spend some time with him. He does have a magnetism, and John Sembritsky recognizes this and becomes jealous. He even accuses Arnold of having an affair with his wife.
And when that sort of thing happens, everything just kind of falls apart.
To make matters worse, evidence from Dr. Terrell's account books suggests the excavation's costs were mounting. Tensions on site rose. Eyewitnesses recalled Arnold arguing with his associates. He even started arming himself.
Dave Arnold was sleeping with his pistol. He'd wear it during the day, and when you're wearing pistols at a work site, you may have problems.
Arnold's dream of finding the lost Spanish treasure had crumbled. It was now the end of the road for him at the Sembritsky's farm in Clyde. He gathered up the stone map and all the copper artifacts found at the site. And then he left. The story goes, Arnold later deposited them in the safe at Caleb Terrell's pharmacy in Haskell. Afterwards, he disappeared for a second time.
Dave Arnold was devastated at the trials of problems that took place at Clyde, but Dave Arnold is not one to give up.
In 1909, Dave Arnold and Caleb Terrell reappeared. 70 miles northwest of Clyde, near the small settlement of Rotan in Fisher County. And once again, they were on the trail of treasure.
He won't take no for an answer. He does not give up. He will not give up.
As with the quests near the Brazos River and Clyde, it's likely they found this site by decoding clues on Arnold's sheepskin map. Historians know very little about the search at Rotan, except that one afternoon, Arnold made a discovery close to a small creek. A third spider rock. On one side were two concentric circles. On the other, bizarre, irregular markings, bisected by two parallel lines. The stone featured intriguing circles and pictograms, just like those on the other two spider rocks. But just as with those stones, their exact meaning and significance was a mystery.
Although some of the symbols are the same, there are new and different symbols, symbols which he cannot interpret. At this point, Arnold is virtually alone, with no one to assist him in interpretation, no one to tell him, dig here.
Dave Arnold's quest had hit the buffers once again. But that is not the end of the story, nor the misfortune that had plagued the hunt for the lost Spanish treasure. In October 1908, Dr. Caleb Terrell had declared himself bankrupt. Funding Dave Arnold's excavations destroyed his family's wealth and likely left him a broken man. Then, on the night of the 7th of May, 1909, his drugstore in Haskell burned to the ground.
Apparently, Dr. Terrell never knew there was a fire. He died about that same night. There's the curse for you.
Inside the safe were two of the stone rocks and many of the metal artifacts found near the Brazos River and Clyde.
And the story was that everything was destroyed. That was the story that was always told. That ended the story. Everything burned up in the fire.
When the Terrell pharmacy burns, it seems to be the end of the road for Arnold. If at any other time in his career he thought about a curse, this must have been the crowning curse of all.
Historians know very little of Dave Arnold's quest following the Haskell drugstore fire. Evidence suggests he continued his search around Texas. but he failed to find the treasure he sought. Arnold died in 1911. But was the treasure hunter's quest a waste of time? Had there ever been anything out there to find? The answer may lie in the objects that Dave Arnold unearthed. His excavations found evidence of copper smelting, parts of a Spanish officer's uniform, and the possible remains of buildings. Some historians believe this leads to an obvious conclusion.
All the evidence points to lost Spanish mines in the early 1800s. They were seeking copper and they were seeking lead. They had to have lead for the bullets and copper for the vessels. And whatever those stone maps relate to relates back to the mining sites.
One theory is that the stone maps are elaborate markers the Spanish left behind to help them one day relocate their valuable mines. If this is true, there exists no stash of gold, only rich veins of copper and lead ore. But other historians believe the mysterious rocks Dave Arnold unearthed point to the existence of a more valuable prize.
The treasure definitely exists. Nobody goes to that much trouble by accident. Why make these elaborate markings to just depict some mining sites? So, where there's smoke, there's fire.
If the legendary Spanish treasure exists, finding it could still be possible. The spider rock Arnold found near Rotan has survived to the present day, along with accurate rubbings of the other two rocks. These tantalizing clues may lead one lucky treasure hunter to the jackpot.
I think there's something there. I don't know that it's gold and silver bars stacked like cordwood in a cave, but I believe there's at least one or two archaeological sites, and I believe they're Spanish, that are begging to be discovered.
But until these sites are found, the Spider Rock's mystery promises to entice new generations of treasure seekers.
Treasure legends never die. There is always something that keeps them going. Spider Rock and its associated maps, they're always just beyond your reach. And that keeps the mystery alive.